Hello, I'm Monsignor Charles Minot.
And I'm Pat Shelton. Welcome to Real to Real.
Pat, when you say welcome, we're always saying to people, how are you? Are you well? Well, you're welcome to come. But I never ask you, how are you, Pat?
I'm very well, thank you. How
glad.
are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And I thank God for that.
And you know what? We've been well all year, thank goodness.
Yes, thank God. We've had a good year. And, you know, it's interesting because we ask people how they are, and again, we just walk away and don't even wait to hear what they have to say. Or if they say something, just ignore it. Or transcend it or something. But I guess there's nobody we know who hasn't got some kind of problems.
Yeah, at one time or another, all of us have been temporarily unwell.
And how you put those problems back and forth on one another is important too, because sometimes they can be helped, and sometimes just a plain bore. But then if I'm bored as you tell me your problem, something's wrong with me, I think, on that one. Do you get bored?
You should be prepared. In case you ask someone how they are, and they begin to really tell you how they are, you should be prepared to listen.
Are you supposed to solve their problems, though?
No, but people want to talk about themselves, you know? So it's good to be a good listener.
I found out in the parish priest that you have to be very much a good listener, and many times when you listen, sometimes you can't handle everything. But most of the time when you talk, before you want people to listen, you have to examine your negative emotions, and Dr. Richard Fitzgibbons will talk to us about that tonight on your negative emotions.
We have heard of the blue and gold football game. I've heard about it for a long time. It takes place in Delaware. Maybe you'd like to know more about it, and you'll find out that there are an awful lot of unselfish teenagers in this world who do an awful lot of good for those less fortunate.
There's nothing more beautiful to serve than mental retardation. You've never been loved until somebody with mental retardation has hugged you around your knees. Blue and gold is a great way of putting things together. And what we'd like to show you today, if you really search out and try to discover the real blue of service and labor, you will finally wind up learning and earning a great gold of love.
It is an ordinary Saturday afternoon on an ordinary football field in any town, USA. The players are high school students who are doing something that is anything but ordinary. The winners of this game will not be the members of Delaware's all-star blue and gold football teams, but rather an extraordinary group of people, the mentally retarded in the state of Delaware.
So, again, Kenton Sussex has to start from upfield. Here they come down again with Chaffinch again.
Delaware's all-star blue and gold football game was the brainchild of Bob Carpenter and Jim Williams. Their idea was to stage an annual game complete with cheerleaders and halftime entertainment, which would help support educational programs and research for Delaware's mentally retarded. The teams, each composed of the best high school football players throughout the state, met on the field for the first time in 1956. All-stars are not selected solely for their athletic abilities, but also for their qualities of sportsmanship. In the 35 years since its inception, the game has grown into one of the largest charitable events in Delaware. To date, over $2.5 million have been raised by the Delaware Foundation for Retarded Children, the DFRC, to benefit the Delaware Association for Retarded Citizens, or the DARC.
The DFRC is a foundation that primarily raises funds to assist programs that serve persons with mental retardation. They are made up of a group of volunteers that work very closely on the Blue Gold game, and they're known as the All-Star Committee. The DARC is primarily a parent organization. We monitor programs in the state of Delaware serving individuals with mental retardation. We look at ways of improving those programs. Our biggest priority right now is integration of persons with mental retardation into the mainstream of society.
The fundraising effort has attracted the attention of citizens statewide and led to the organization of high school committees, community groups, and even the involvement of many businesses. Jim Keegan, a member of the DFRC's Board of Trustees, is responsible for the allocation of the funds.
We decide who should get the money by the type of request that the various people throughout the state, I say people, agencies, and other interests coming to the Board of Trustees and saying, here, we have a cause. We would like to take some of the money that you raised through the game and your other events and apply it to enriching the lives of the retarded children.
One of the biggest contributors to the Blue and Gold has been St. Mark's High School, To date, the students have raised over $80,000 for the mentally retarded of Delaware. Although St. Mark's has only one player representative this year, the school has a long-standing commitment to the blue and gold cause.
Basically, how St. Mark's Blue Gold got started was in 1979. The DFRC decided that it was a direction to take would be to go into the high schools to find out what the students could do to help generate funds for the Blue Gold effort. From there, we've turned it into an educational process with our participants.
Although the blue and gold game is an essential fundraising activity, it is only one facet of a much larger project. Hand in Hand, a program which pairs high school athletes with mentally retarded children, helps to emphasize to both groups the value of friendship. The children are matched with high school students on a one-to-one basis and are selected on a criteria of interests and proximity.
The Hand in Hand program has enabled individuals with mental retardation to be integrated into the community. Their main problem is isolation. They only have interaction with their family members, with service providers, and they do not get to interact with people that do not have disabilities. The Hand in Hand program offers them this interaction. They benefit highly from this because they learn how to interact in society in more of a normalized fashion.
In addition to the friendships that are formed, Hand in Hand also gives students a better understanding of what life is like for someone with mental retardation.
What's happening now is that the young people there are being educated about what mental retardation is. It's not something to be afraid of, but it's something to work with. There's nothing wrong with somebody who's mentally retarded. If somebody just learns something a little bit slower, doesn't mean that they're to be put away somewhere.
A mentally retarded child is just like you and me. Maybe they learn a little bit slower, maybe they need a little bit more attention, but they know how to love and how to respect others, and that's what we're trying to get across to folks.
I've learned the joy of giving and what you can get out of it. I've learned that helping others has got to come above yourself all the time, no matter what. And I've learned that the simplest things can help a mentally retarded child. The benefits of having a buddy are phenomenal. I've gone out with my buddy, we've gone to McDonald's, we've gone to see movies, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We've had a great time, my buddy and I.
Unfortunately, as in any other football game, only one side can win. But to these players, that is not the concern. To these young people, our leaders of tomorrow, the important issue is the knowledge and understanding which they have gained from this experience.
Watching the young people grow into understanding what life's all about, and that is to help each other, service, to make the community better. It excites me, not just from the standpoint of the high school students, but from the mentally retarded, the effort of all the people to come together year after year for our cause, to be able to see how many different organizations for mental retardation are helped year after year. It's just a culmination, a camaraderie of people, and it's very exciting.
As I look at the high school participants, they are going to be our leaders of the future in the very near future. And what we need from the leaders of the future is to involve people with all disabilities in the mainstream of society.
It's a journey into love. It's people understanding people fighting for what is right, and just coming together to make society a better place to be.
1956 was a great year, and Delaware has led the way for us in the service to retardation. We follow Delaware's way again. I'm so glad.
Won't you stay with us, and we'll bring you more wonders from the first state.
Could this Philadelphian be made a saint of the Catholic Church? The answer may be yes. She's Catherine Drexel, beatified by Pope John Paul II in 1988. Now you can experience her adventurous life story on audio cassette. Get America's Catherine Drexel, The Life of a Saintly Woman. Hear about her life through the voices of the people who actually knew her and continue her work today. The cost of this dramatic audio cassette is only $4.95. To order, call 215-587-3775. That's 215-587-3775.
grow up, I want to be a track star.
No one ever says, I want to be a junkie when I grow up.
I want to be a ballerina.
Yet thousands of kids let getting high make a mess of their lives.
I want to be a nurse.
Don't let drugs get in the way of your dreams.
Dare to get to know someone with AIDS. It'll probably change your life.
Do you like football? Well, if you like football, we have got a game for you. It's the annual Blue and Gold Football Classic from the state of Delaware. And here to tell us all about it is this year's chairman of the Blue and Gold Football game, Mark DiNardo. Hi, Mark.
Hello, Pat. How are you?
And I'll tell you, you're right on time there with that blue shirt and gold tie. Adjust your TV sets.
I like to wear our colors.
Let's talk about this blue and gold game. I've heard about it, but I never knew very much about it. I understand it's been going on for a long time and for a very good reason.
It has been. This year we celebrate our 35th anniversary, and it's been played for the last 3 decades to benefit the mentally retarded children of Delaware. And 35 years ago, our founders of the game had mentally retarded children of their own. And what they were running up against was a society and social barriers for their children that would not allow them the opportunity to lead the same kind of life that you and I do.
I guess in those days it was more the sort of keep them in the background, keep them in the back room and pretend we don't really have them.
Very much so. People did not know how to deal with people with mental retardation, and as a result they kept them sheltered, they kept them closed away. These gentlemen, Bob Carpenter and Jim Williams, created this game not only to generate funds for programs to help support the mentally retarded children, but to create awareness throughout the state, throughout the area, about people with mental retardation. And the point they wanted to get across to the rest of the community was that these are people just like you and I. They have the same needs, they have the same skills and talents that you and I do. They just need the opportunity.
Okay, but hand in hand with this was the fundraising aspect, so that there could be provisions for teaching and for research and for facilities. And somebody came up with this idea of this blue and gold football game.
Well, the blue and gold football game, Pat, is actually just one part. We have another major fundraiser throughout the year. It's called Holidazzle, and it's a fashion show that's held at Longwood Gardens, and it is also
I assume during the holidays.
Yes, it is. Right,
Holidazzle.
prior to the Christmas holidays. And both games generate an incredible amount of money, and they are a result of many hours, long hours of hard work by volunteers. There are no full-time people employed by DFRC. We have an office staff of administrative assistants, but other than that, it's totally volunteers. And these monies that are raised go directly into a fund that is then allocated throughout the state of Delaware to programs, various programs that support the education and the social development of mentally retarded people.
Well, next week we're going to have the football game, the Blue and Gold Classic, on June 30th. That's Saturday,
Yes, it
June
is.
30th. And we want to talk about that in particular now. Who plays in the game?
Well, let me take a step back and let you know that each year we have a group of participants from the local high schools. They are made up of football players, queen candidates, cheerleaders, and band members. This year we have approximately 150 different participants, which are matched up in our hand-in-hand program with a mentally retarded buddy. This gives them an opportunity to experience mental retardation firsthand. We have seen the hand-in-hand program of our committee grow into the heart and the lifeblood of the All-Star Game. These kids are learning more about mental retardation and learning more about themselves than they could have in any class or by reading any book.
I guess that's about as close as you can come to the walk in my moccasins theory.
Yes, very close. And they are. They're leading lives. They're developing friendships, long-lasting friendships with their buddies, and discovering along the way, not only is this person very much like myself, but probably I could learn a lot more from this person than this person is going to learn from me.
Well, we're going to have to wrap it up really quickly, and I want everybody to know that the students from St. Mark's High School, Catholic High School in Delaware, are very much involved with this. 1,000 kids strong, raising funds all year long, and we have to tell them that tickets are only, what, $5?
$5.
And you go there, or how early?
It's Saturday, June 30th. You get there at 1 o'clock for our pregame festivities. We expect a nice big crowd of 8,000 to 10,000 people. There's plenty of tickets available, but
you have halftime entertainment, the beautiful cheerleaders, and a great day, all for the mentally retarded of Delaware. It's a good thing. Thank you so much for coming and telling us about it, Bob. Now, we've been talking a lot about love that is involved in your field, and a lot of us are on Reel to Reel, we talk about love and faith all the time, but a lot of us harbor a lot of hostility and mistrust. Well, next up in our relationships segment, Dr. Richard Fitzgibbons tells us that mistrust and hostility can be bad for your health.
Your emotions have a remarkably powerful influence over your thinking, over your spiritual life, and over your physical health. This has been highlighted in the last several years by a number of studies showing the tremendously powerful impact of two negative emotions upon our health. First, hostility, and second, mistrust. In a recent book called The Trusting Heart, the foremost researcher in this country on type A behavior, which is a behavior that had been characterized by excessive anger, competitiveness, mistrust, has shown that those who hold on to hostility and mistrust in particular are much more likely to have severe heart disease, cancer, and numerous other diseases than those who are more loving and more trusting. It seems that these studies have shown that there's something about excessive hostility and excessive mistrust that backfires on us, that damages our hearts and that damages our bodies. What happens here, in effect, is that those people who hold on to these negative emotions wind up being controlled by the very people who've hurt them. Now, what can be done if you're holding on to these emotions excessively? First, it's not easy to move from not trusting to trusting. It's probably the single most difficult thing that I have to do on a regular basis in my work. Many people are helped by thinking every day, even though I've been hurt by people in the past, there are trustworthy people in the present who I can love and who can be sensitive to me. It can be helpful to think, I don't want those untrustworthy people, those insensitive people in the past to control me. Thirdly, if you just feel powerless over mistrust, it can be helpful to use the spiritual side of your personality and think, God, help me feel safe and help me feel protected in relationships. Also, it's important in growing from not trusting to trusting to take risks, to risk loving again, to risk living with an open heart. That's essential if you're going to be physically healthy in your life. Also, many people who don't trust go around looking very hostile, and they do that to scare you away, to make you stay away from them. And it's helpful to realize that. Now for hostility. Hostility doesn't help anyone. If we're going around being hostile all the time, it doesn't help us. It's helpful here to try to realize that you want to draw your strength from love and not from anger. Those people you're angry with from their past are alive in your life, and they shouldn't be. Try to let go of your anger. And if you can't forgive them, ask God to forgive them. Now, if you're dealing with people on a regular basis who are excessively hostile and excessively angry, you might warn them about the dangers to their physical health if they continue to hold on to those negative emotions. We're all going to be much healthier and much happier if what flows from our hearts is love and trust rather than mistrust and hostility.
Holistic is the word, Pat. That's not just a buzzword. Dr. Fitzgibbons shows us what it means. I am like I feel, and I feel like I am.
Yes, I found his message to be very interesting. And you're going to meet some more interesting people right after these messages.
So you see, the point is we cannot shut our eyes to the people who live on these other planets. We want to shut our eyes to all that's horrible, but we can't. And the very least thing we can do is to keep our eyes open.
just made my day.
Go ahead. Make someone's day. With love.
Keep smoking crack, and eventually you'll be left with nothing.
We welcome your comments and suggestions and encourage you to write us at Reel to Reel, 222 North 17th Street, room 907, Philadelphia 19103, or call us during regular business hours at 215-668-9842.
Accommodation time, Pat, reflection and senior outlook. And Father Bob Curtis comes through again, as he always does. In this little segment, we want you to watch out. We can conclude this. I can live a life of real service, self-service, or I can live one with my eyes open.
Once through a social worker program, I spent a day with a prisoner, his first day out of prison. This was a program that tried to connect convicts with the outside world. And my job was to spend the first day out of prison with him. So I picked him up at the prison gate when he got out. And that was early in the morning. I stayed with him during his first day of so-called freedom. Well, in return, he decided to do me a favor and show me his world of heroin. I mean, that was the only thing he had to give me. And so he led me through this sinister maze of sickness, alleyways and gutters, sleazy hotels and desperate street corners, men and women nodding in their heroin stupor, filthy children on the verge of overdose, grasping with shaky hands their paper cups of methadone and orange juice. All these images are in my mind, and images of drug creatures entering convulsion, the final stages of their narcotic death dance. And all day, in my horror, I was thinking, my God, I live on separate planets from these people. An incredible gulf separates my antiseptic world of hope from their putrid world of abject hopelessness. They had no hope. What to do? Oh my God, what to do? Well, in the Old Testament, the prophet Amos spoke out against complacency, the complacency of prosperous people in the northern kingdoms who were failing to concern themselves with the problems of the people in the less fortunate tribes in the south. And through Amos, God warned the people that there will someday be an accounting demanded from those who are entirely self-serving. And St. Paul, in his letter to Timothy, reminds us of our commitment to be faithful to God's call. When Christ returns, he will judge our faithfulness in full knowledge of what we did and what we could have done. So you see, the point is we cannot shut our eyes to the people who live on these other planets. We want to shut our eyes to all that's horrible, but we can't. And the very least thing we can do is to keep our eyes open. If we keep our eyes open, maybe in some small way, some way will be revealed to us that we might help. On the day of judgment, it would be nice to be able to say, I didn't do all I should have done, but there were times when I did what I could.
Inside this house is a most remarkable situation. This is the kind of story that I love because it speaks to each of us who feel sorry for ourselves, who spend a lot of time being depressed, with a very particular message.
Helen Wist cannot leave this bed. Almost completely disabled, Helen spends 22 of every 24 hours all alone. A government agency provides medical assistance and household help for only 2 hours per day. Helen thinks she deserves more.
I worked 40 years in America, and I paid taxes and everything else too, you know.
Yes, you did.
I worked until I was 68.
Helen's sole companion is her beloved dog, Mandy. In the afternoon, George Hernandez arrives with a Meals on Wheels dinner. It's her only meal of the day.
You gonna eat something right now, or you gonna eat later?
I eat later.
Okay, try and eat, okay?
I will, thank you.
After George leaves, Helen has 20 hours to fill before her helper shows up again. She reads Harlequin romances, and as you'd expect, she knows every performer on television. Helen asked me if she could send a message to her favorite TV star. Well, you know I said yes.
Michael London, I would like to see you. Come and visit me, please. Which he won't, I know.
If Michael Landon did show up, he'd find a wonderful lady full of courage.
I still love life, and I hope I live a while longer if I can. That's in the hand of God, how long you live.
Helen says that she's going to fight confinement to a nursing home with all her strength.
Well, I own the house, so they cannot force me out. I want to stay here as long as I can.
From the home of a bedfast warrior.
Amazing. Oh, I admire her strength, her spirit, her courage.
Loneliness
God
is terrible,
bless her.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Loneliness of ours.
Yeah, but she, though ladies like that just make me, I want to be like that when I get her age.
Hope you're as sharp and as fresh as she is. You know, I'm so happy about this week coming up. Now, Saturday's a big day.
Yeah, oh yeah, I want to take my son to the blue and gold football game. Yeah, he loves football. Take a couple of buddies, jump in a station wagon, University of Delaware, big day.
Is it far?
No, you can be down there in 25 minutes. Well, from Philadelphia.
Well, you better keep the speed limits, Pat.
Yeah,
but it's so wonderful to have the chance to see all these things in this program, like ways of service we can be one to the other, way we can adjust ourselves to people serving us, but above all things, to learn how to love.
Yes.
That's the big thing in the retarded
Love and
people.
service.
And so when you think about the retardation, think about the real gift of love so many people have to give you. Be open to receive it. Until they see you next time, goodbye and God bless you.
Good night.
Travel arrangements for Reel to Reel by Atkinson and Mullen, Newtown Square, PA, 215-359-5980.
I'm inviting every man to Malvern for a special retreat, June 29th to July 1st.
And I'm inviting young adults ages 18 to 35 out to Malvern.
Our team will be Mrs. Barbara O'Malley and Brother Paul Crawford, Monsignor Walsh, and local speakers.
If you're a man or a young adult, don't miss a tremendous weekend.
Call 668-HOPE in area code 215.
And come on out to Malvern, June 29th to July 1st.